Hey there guys, welcome to Total Space. I'm Another Space Nut today along with my co-hosts
Mikko.
And I'm Ryan from the Space Update.
We've got human landing systems, we're talking near-Earth objects and upcoming launches.
Okay, so we'll kick off with the launch updates first. On the 18th, we've got SpaceX, another Starlink launch 13. And then we've got Rocket Lab with another launch on the 20th of October. And then we've got the Chinese iSpace Hyperbola 1, I believe, on October the 21st. And then finally, after a long delay, we've got Enroll 44. Fingers crossed for this one. Hopefully it will launch this time on October the 23rd.
So let's talk near-Earth object, guys. What have we got incoming?
So looks like on October 14th we have TQ2. That's gonna be around 3 lunar distances away. And then on the 16th of October there's a TH3 that's gonna be just under 5 lunar distances away from us.
It's still relatively far away, but quite close still, considering.
Yeah, and lately we've been having a lot of those that has been just discovered when they are just about to reach Earth.
I mean, like, it's not something you would like to hear from NASA. Oh, by the way, we just found this asteroid. It was just going past us yesterday, and we just found it. It was like impending death in the next 6 hours. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think many of those are from the Venus side. So when the telescopes are looking, they see the sun. So they are really difficult to spot.
Whenever you watch the movies, you always see some bigwig at NASA that's aware of an incoming object like 3 years in advance, and we're all preparing as a species and stuff. Some of these that are discovered last minute, although for the most part they are small, some of them are quite big. Yeah,
totally. It looked similar to some Starlink burning in the atmosphere.
A double asteroid deflection DART mission.
Yeah, it's within a couple of years, I think. And I think they sent two probes. One is observing the impact that the other makes.
It depends on the size of the asteroid, though, doesn't it? If the asteroid is, I don't know, 30 to 40 metres, which is relatively small in comparison to some others, but if the sheer weight of that asteroid is more than the satellite, the asteroid is barely going to move, isn't it? That's the only thing I'm thinking. You can hit it at however many thousands of kilometres an hour you want, but if that asteroid weighs 200 times more than the satellite you're hitting with it, it's not going to make a difference. It might just slow it down by 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, of course. But if it's far enough away from Earth, then the orbit change could be just enough.
That, or we push it in a direct path.
Yeah.
We've had to move it, but now it's split in two, and now it's going to hit us twice.
Yeah, that's always a possibility.
Okay, let's move on to human landing systems, guys. We've got Blue Origin, which is the national team. Partners with that one. It's, as well as you've got Blue Origin, but you've got Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Draper involved with them. And then we've got, obviously, we've got the big leader that we've ended up hearing about, SpaceX with Starship, and we've got Dynetics, which is called the Autonomous Logistics Platform for All Moon Cargo Access, or Alpaca. So, which one do you want to kick off with, guys?
We want to ride the Alpaca to the moon.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to? Yeah. Dynex is, I think, my favourite one out of the three. Just the way the systems, we've seen the animation there. You've got essentially the Coke can on wheels, I like to call it, and then you've got the frame around it that's literally lifts off and is completely reusable. I think I really like Dynex's idea. I think if anyone listening hasn't checked it out, quickly put it in Google, have a quick look at it. It's a really clever idea, the way it looks and works and everything.
Yeah, that's the one design I really hope they succeed. It could be a rover, or it can take people to the moon, and it's much cheaper than the Blue Origin one.
Yeah, the only question was that some people had was the side tanks. They get discarded on descent because they have essentially two sets of tanks. They have like I don't know if it's deorbiting tanks or the descent tanks. They have on the very outside. Once the fuel's spent in those, they chuck them away and they land on the moon's surface. So space junk, what's going on there, I don't know. And then the main tanks that are in the frame are the ones that get refueled for it to ping back up to the gateway.
Yeah, it's not as good as the Starship with reusability, but it's almost perfect compared to the Blue Origin.
Yeah, I mean, if we Blue Origin, I mean, I've looked at their lander. It is good. I mean, it'll probably work really well, but the landing system, I think, what was it like? Pretty much nearly all of it was going to be left behind until they fathom out how to refuel it. I'll put a refueling system on the moon. So we're going to end up with 3, 4, 5, 6 of these empty landers waiting to be refueled before we can even retrieve them.
Yeah, it's basically a bigger version of the Apollo lander.
Yeah, definitely.
To me, it raises the question, if we've spent enough time screwing this planet up, is it really something we should be doing, starting already from day dot to just start wearing away at the moon and leaving junk there?
Yeah,
I mean, in a way, we've already started doing that with Mars, some of the rovers and stuff there, because I was having a look the other day, just to go off a little bit off topic, there's something in the region of 40 to 45 rovers or anything on Mars, and actually only about half of them have actually survived. So there's actually 20 plus damaged satellites or rovers or whatever it be on Mars, and fully fueled with God knows what, crashed on Mars, probably leaking radiation, fuel, God knows what.
Yeah, if we keep it up, it's gonna be quite a debris field.
Yeah, and then now we're going back to the moon, it'll be a similar situation.
But there's still quite a lot of space for now. But yeah, for future, it would be better to keep it reusable.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blue Origin for me personally is in third place. Then you've got Dynex, and then if SpaceX managed to successfully nail the landing that's coming up very soon and the flight with Starship, they could be quite easily first if they nail Starship with the landing and everything else.
Everybody assumes that Blue Origin is the richer horse in the race, when really, I mean, if you look at Dynetics, being part of the Leidos group, they've got unimaginable amounts of money that they could throw at it. And then we've got Bezos in second regarding finances, and then SpaceX in third place regarding finances. But when you look at it on that base value of how much money can actually be put at the project from each respective company, people need to realize that SpaceX already work on a shoestring budget in the current launch market.
But they make it work.
And they're the underdog, but that's not to say that they're the one that it's going to be underestimated.
Yeah, and Dynetics, I think, for me, they're the top dog along Starship, because Dynetics have had a hand in the gateway.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because SpaceX just, well, they have the money and they pretty much use it, everything.
I mean, SpaceX, it's a win-win for them, because they've already won the cargo supply to the gateway regardless. I think they're going to use a form as the Dragon module. I would make a larger one of it, apparently. They won that contract, I think, earlier on in the year, I believe, with NASA. And cargo resupply to the gateway.
Yeah, I think that Dragon XL was maybe in spring of this year when they announced.
So I think even if they don't get Starship absolutely nailed, they could still utilise Falcon Heavy to whatever set up part of the gateway or deliver fuel cargo for, hypothetically, if Blue Origin and Dynetics won and SpaceX didn't.
Yeah, they are covered.
Yeah, so for SpaceX, I think it's a bit of a win-win, because if they don't get the lander, they're going to get they've already won the cargo supply anyway.
Yeah, and even the small price from the human landing systems, that was about 135 million. That's gonna fire up their prototyping already.
Yeah.
So any money is good for them.
But the only thing it comes down to is getting these things into orbit. Starship is a one-shot thing. Once it's up there, it's there. But you just got a case of fueling it up a few times to get to the moon. Dynetics, if the rocket's big enough, it can be put up there in one go. But if it's any smaller rocket, it's got to be 2 or 3 launches and then assembled in orbit around Earth. And then Blue Origin, God knows with that, it looks absolutely massive. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it, what they're planning on. A similar kind of thing, they have to do 3 or 4 launches to even put their lander into orbit. From what I've seen advertised in their promotional videos.
Yeah, I think if New Glenn will happen to be flying at that time, I think that could actually get the whole thing in orbit with the one launch.
They've got to test it and approve it though first.
Yeah, I think are they going to? Shouldn't have they been launching it next year, or was it 2022?
Tory Bruno, I'm tweeting every now and then, and I questioned it on him to him, and he Tory Bruno mentioned that the Vulcan is coming on in 2021. Definitely, it's going to be using the Blue Origin BE4 engines before New Glenn launches. So we're going to see Vulcan first, those BE4 Blue Origin engines. Then, however long after that, we might see New Glenn, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And obviously we've got SpaceX with Starship and the Super Heavy booster being constructed. So, but like I say, even the SLS hasn't been flight tested at the end of the day, so we're all, when you think we're going to land on the moon 2024 and none of these rockets have actually been tested yet, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like saying you're going on holiday next week and you haven't got a car. You're like, we're still putting the car together, we're building it. Okay.
The administrator was going to get us back to the moon with an ambitious timeline. It's definitely Bridenstine.
Yeah, I really like Bridenstine. He's been giving all the programs some speed. I mean, look at Artemis. It's actually maybe happening.
Yeah. I think by 2024, Starship will be operational quite easily, and even super heavy, I think. But then by then, will it just render SLS useless? Because Starship by 2024, you'd think maybe it's it'll have easily launched at least 2 Starlink payloads, I think.
I think if Starship launches even 1 payload, it will be easy to launch 10 more within a couple of months, unless they fail the re-entry.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, we've seen SpaceX with the Falcon architecture. Initially, they struggled quite a lot to nail landings and to actually start to reuse the rockets. But then once they got it right, they got it bloody right. It went full steam ahead once they started making successful landings with it. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Starship gets to, as you guys are just saying, if Starship makes it to orbit once, it's going again, and it's going to continue going.
And do you think this upcoming SpaceX event down at, I think it's down at Boca Chica, isn't it? Do you think SpaceX will unveil a rough mock-up of the lunar lander, seeing as we've already seen Dynetics and Blue Origin's?
Yeah, that would be very nice to see, because
it's logical, because we've already seen Blue Origin, we've already seen Dynetics. SpaceX could quite easily do it.
Yeah, from NASA's point of view, it would look like Blue Origin and Dynetics are in front of SpaceX.
And all SpaceX have to do is just grab a few parts from the yard and just paint it white. But then we would have noticed that, wouldn't we? But we haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah. Yeah, and SpaceX would actually have actual material there, not
who's
just
your money on? Who are we going to see
models.
launching first parts of their lunar lander before the others?
I'm going to put my money on ULA launching Dynetics.
I think I would go with Dynetics too.
As in the Vulcan.
Whole house, their Dynetics as well.
Yeah, because they've got the most. They've got the hand in the gateway, and they've got the most. I think it's pretty much done. They've just got to test it at the end of the day, and that's the thing with these 3 landers. Before they even use them, NASA said quite a while ago. I think a few people forgot about this. They have to test it in the actual setting it's going to be used in before they do anything else. So,
yeah, do you actually remember who of the 3 were actually going to land on the moon before actually landing humans? Were all of the proposals going to land, or
I think whoever they choose, they're choosing 2, aren't they? And the 2 they choose are going to have to do like a test run before choose the actual final one that's going to take the crew, and that will be the final one, but they'll still use the second one later on.
Yeah, I would hope so.
So there's going to be some sort of test run before we even see anything, but again, it's a time scale. Will we see it in 2022 or 23? They'll have to do it way before that 2024 deadline, because if they do it a couple of months before and something goes wrong, goodbye 2024 landing on the moon.
Yeah, they really need some time. Even with Crew Dragon, that was pretty much done vehicle. It took like a month or 2 to complete the
modifications or rebuilds and
yeah. All right, let's talk about Starship. We are pretty close to the 15-kilometer flight with SN8. There has been a few cryo tests, and they've been completed. Latest were in.
We've got the 3 Raptor engines getting fitted, haven't we? We've seen a little peek of the nose cone from Boca Chica Garland, some of the guys down there.
Yeah, sounds like the static fires could be really soon.
Yeah. I don't know if they've actually fitted the Raptor engines and everything yet, but we've seen some pictures of those. As for what serial number they are, I'd imagine they'd have to be the same version out of like a collection.
I think I saw serial numbers 30, 32, and 39.
I saw 39 on site.
That's interesting.
Yeah, 39 was, I think it was the first one we saw going there. And actually, if I remember right, SN39 was the engine that reached 330 bar.
So they're reusing that engine that pushed. So it's interesting they're not using the same version, if you like, of each engine. Unless they are that similar, it won't make a difference.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that myself, but I mean, I guess the engines they can control the engines well, so maybe.
And imagine with the big 3, they'll only have to go up to half power anyway, if that.
Well, it will depend on the fuel load.
Yeah, because it'll need quite a lot more to go to 15 kilometres. So it'll probably be, quarter full or something like that.
Yeah, something like that probably. And about the engines, I think since it was the serial number 39 that reached the high bars, I would think they are already going around serial number 45 maybe.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of the tanks that were on the outside of the likes of SM5 and 6 now finally being fitted on the inside. So we're seeing a lot more of the outer structure being fitted in on the inside finally. Still a few lines down the side for what looks like basic electronics or fuel lines, so that will eventually be fixed inside.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have kept them outside, the re-entry is going to be really difficult, or the belly flop maneuver.
And it'll be a balancing act with that belly flopper. They must have to. I'm just racking my brains how they'd actually do it, because you'd have to get the centre of gravity almost centre or just below centre, so the back end drops more than the front. If it goes into a nosedive, they won't be able to recover it.
Yeah, because of that, they are going to. They have already put the header tanks in the nose cone to get the balance more closely.
Yeah, but as well, we've got the high bay that's nearly complete now. Good 230 foot. That high bay, it's absolutely huge.
Yeah, it's 81 meters tall, and I think Elon's one of the latest tweets was that they are going to install a crane to the ceiling.
Yeah, well, people are saying that they're putting a crane there, but they seem to be putting a roof on the top, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But I can't imagine they'd put a crane on the top of the bay when they've already got the big giant cranes there. They'd probably just pull it out of the bay, fit the bits on the knee, and then push it back into the bay like they've been doing with the some of the little starships.
Yeah, that could be.
Because I think building a crane on top of the high bay would be a bit overkill, because you'd have to build you know what I mean? Build a crane when you've already got a crane there, if you know what I mean? Why construct something when you've already got the crane there to do the job?
Well, the cranes that are already on site rentals.
Yeah, but they could just quite easily. It'd be just easier to buy one rather than reinventing the wheel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Like you can purchase this one for how many hundreds of £1,000s or dollars it is even. Sorry, or you can Because I can't imagine that structure, the high bay, can even take a crane.
Yeah, I think that would be a real problem.
Because you think that structure of that high bay is the same as the smaller one. So for the roof to withstand God knows how many tons, hundreds of tons of crane to lift part of heavy, super heavy booster, it just crumpled like a Coke can. So I don't think they're going to put crane on the top.
Yeah, that may be out of the question.
Yeah,
I think, the Starship's dry mass is around 120 tons, so super heavy would be more.
Yeah, a lot more. But where you will need a crane is on Starship itself.
Yeah.
Because obviously it lands bottom first, and it's not a small vehicle. And the crew part is actually good. God knows how many feet off the ground. So they're going to need a crane or a lift of some sort within Starship that swings out and lowers down whatever needed to the lunar surface or the surface of Mars eventually.
Yeah, actually, I think in one of the renders there was two rails going down.
Yeah, like you would on a high-rise building.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing to that, I imagine. And then they just
window washing lifts.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm thinking of. But a similar thing to that, and then it should be stable enough to just lower things down. But we still haven't seen anything to do with the legs. They were supposed to be making the legs so much. Was it something like 40 to 60% larger? Because the current legs were too small and fragile.
Yeah, there's been quite a lot of speculation what they're going to look like. I mean, some option is like a falcon-like leg that might even flip out, or then stationary legs. There are pretty good renders.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll be falcon-style legs because it has to be self-leveling, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
SpaceX did tease with Falcon-style legs on a sign, though, didn't they? Boca Chica.
Okay.
Yeah, and Elon also tweeted that they would be bigger and Falcon-like, but whatever that means.
It's all cryptic, and we have to decipher it, don't we?
Yeah.
We get our updated meme form from Daddy Elon.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna keep the creative guys going.
And I saw a story as well. The little village down at Boca Chica. I mean, you keep hearing stories with the village and stuff like that. That SpaceX are trying to move the other half of the village that they don't own out because there might be some sort of splash damage risk and stuff like that. But whether that's just speculation or whether it's actually any truth to it, I don't know. So that SpaceX are trying.
Yeah. I read somewhere that there's only few people living there at this time, and they want to make it the SpaceX employee site.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's supposed to be they supposedly own half of it, then the other half, a certain percentage, it is just all the guys down there pretty much filming, the odd one or two remaining residents. But I think a wind's going to be a big factor on this 15K hop. They'll probably, I can imagine it's going to get delayed a lot until they have low wind to stop it drifting half mile off course and completely missing that landing pad.
Yeah, that sounds like a big factor.
Because when you think about it, where the Starship is to where the landing pad is, it's not that far. When you think going to go up, flop forward, and if you think aerodynamics, if the it's going to be bottom end heavy, so the nose will be pointing up a little bit. It will tend to glide forward. It's 15 kilometers up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think that they will be aiming for water splashdown if something goes wrong, and with the final engine burn, they will go to the landing pad.
Yeah, I mean, it can correct it, because we've seen, I don't know if you've ever seen it, one of the Falcon 9s went slightly off course when it was landing back at land. I don't know if it was this year or last year.
I think it was actually late 2018.
Yeah, you just saw it come down. It was just ever so slightly off course, and as the landing burn came in, it just kind of like woof, just like put itself 30 meters back in range of the landing pad and came down.
Was it the one that had problems with grid fins? Because that was 2018, or was it a drone ship
Possibly. You just seen it come down and it was just slightly off course. Then as the landing burn came on, it just all of a sudden just actually done like an extra burn to like push it back in the direction.
Yeah, actually, I think that was the Falcon Heavy Center Core on STP-2 mission, because there was some damage to the thrust vector control system, so they had to abort at the last second.
Any predictions on which serial numbers go in orbital?
I would say serial number 15.
I'd say 10. First one's going to go completely wrong, I think. Number 9 will get somewhere near, then 10 will be like,
I'm going to stick to 11. I've said 11 confidently for months. I believe 11's going to be our orbital Starship.
I mean, I would hope so, but I do think that they will do at least a couple of those 20 plus kilometer flights before going orbital.
Yeah. Elon said mid-teen, so we're not too far off, but I think if it goes right first or second time or somewhere near, I think if it works or almost works, they'll just gun it and go for it. The harder test will be re-entering from orbit.
Yeah, they will not have a...
Because the 15 kilometer hop doesn't really necessarily test anything as such, because it wouldn't actually do that.
Yeah, it kind of just tests if the flaps work and how's the landing burn.
Yeah.
But they are still gonna have to do a higher hop and then maybe burn the engines to get some speed when they come back to the atmosphere, so they can actually test the heat shields.
And hopefully everything doesn't rip off.
Yeah.
Because in their Dragon module recently they've had to rejig the heat shield, because where the bolts got fixed onto the main part of the Dragon module, like the actual bolts that fix on the heat pads, apparently where the bolts go through, there's just a weakness in it, caused the heat pads to degrade a lot more than what they're expected.
Yeah, I think it was around the attachments to the trunk.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
it's where the bolts go into the trunk. It caused a weakness, and when they looked at it, it was like, getting quite close.
Yeah, but still, I think they had a lot of margin, because the capsules are designed for around 5 landings, so there was a lot of margin.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
That's all we've got time for today, folks. Thanks for listening. Remember to check out the next episode where myself and Mikko will be talking autonomous drone ships.